Hi, my name is Harvey Miller, and I just want to take a couple minutes to introduce you to the format for our supply chain management course this fall. Now, the course is going to run on Wednesday evenings, as you know, from 5:30 to 8:30, and I want to take an approach that will actually have us doing what we call a flipped classroom. By a flipped classroom, what I mean is that I will not be lecturing in the class. Instead, I have some video lectures already prepared that you will be watching 1 week ahead of time. And then when we come to class the following week, then we will engage with the material. We will sort of do small breakouts, ask a lot of questions, look at some small mini cases or some scenarios, try to basically apply what we actually learn. The purpose of the video lectures really is to provide you the basic understanding and basic ideas around application of concepts. But when we come together in the classroom, we want to create a much more active learning environment. And in that environment, we would like to explore the concepts a bit deeper and see how we could actually use them for synthesis and evaluation. So the textbook for our course is mandatory because we will be using it quite a lot. And the book that I've selected is a book by Semchi Levy, Kaminsky, and Semchi Levy. So that book is available in the bookstore, and there's a supplementary text which you don't have to get. But if you are quite interested in the subject matter, you may very well want to consider getting a copy. The details of the course outline as follows. So essentially, in terms of our core objectives, we want to expose the learner to topical issues in supply chain management, provide an understanding of the role of supply chain management in supporting competitive strategy, and to develop some familiarity with a set of tools, analytical tools that can be used in managing supply chains. All right. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the approach to the course is what we call a blended learning model. And by a blended learning model, we're going to use some technology in conjunction with face-to-face. Face-to-face, which will take place in the classroom, will be emphasizing sort of more active engagement discussions, case presentations, and so on. In terms of the use of technology, we'll be using our learning management system, which is Blackboard. And in Blackboard, you will have the links to the video lectures. You will also have links to readings. And in addition to that, we will also be conducting short quizzes via Blackboard. All right. So a bit of technology and a bit of face-to-face. The way in which the course will run and I'm going to sort of go right to the schedule and then come back to a few of the sort of quote unquote policy elements around the class. The way in which we're going to do our class is that we will not meet every week, we will meet every other week. So 1 week, I'm actually going to call it a prep week. And so actually tomorrow, the 9th of September, is our prep week. So we're not supposed to be meeting. And we will meet the following week on the 16th of September. So essentially what I've done is collapse the material for two classes into one, which you will engage with at home. And when we come together on the following week, we discuss that material. So rather than each week coming to class and doing lectures in the classroom and chewing up a lot of our time that way, as adult learners, we give you the opportunity to engage with the material before coming to class. So you are required to read and watch the video lectures or read the textbook and then take a short quiz based on the material that we're about to discuss. And when we come to class, I refer to that as a lab class. So prep class and lab classes, and we alternate those two. The dates of each one is actually shown in the left column. And the topics that we're covering, the various chapters. So for example, for next week, Wednesday, we'll be covering chapters 1 and 2. And there are a number of questions at the end of the chapter, so be prepared to discuss those, and also the article that you have to read. There will also be a group exercise. So group 1 will, I'll talk about the group presentations. In the last column here, you will see which of the cases that will actually be discussed. All right. So as I mentioned here, we have a schedule of the lab class and the prep classes, and a prep class takes place before a lab class. The problems are likely to prepare for discussion, and then the videos that you have to watch, the video lectures, they are actually listed in Blackboard. So when you go to Blackboard, this is where we will do the mini tests or quizzes, and then this is where you have the links week by week to the various videos or video lectures for the course. All right, so it's fairly straightforward. What is it that I'm going to use to evaluate this course? Well, each of you will be placed in a group, and I intend to have 4 groups. We have several cases, and so for the entire semester, each group will prepare 1 case for presentation and a second case for submission. So I will assign the cases for presentation, but then you would pick any of the other remaining cases that will be discussed in the class for written submission. Okay? And so that is up to you in terms of your own choosing. We will have 5 look-ahead quizzes, and those quizzes are based on the material that we are going to discuss in the next lab class. So in other words, we prepare ahead of time, and we are tested ahead of time. The testing is on the basic understanding, all right? And then once we come to class, we will explore the information in a bit more depth. In terms of class participation, 20% is assigned to that, so you're expected to be prepared to discuss the cases, the readings, and then also we will try to identify some topical issues, in other words, supply chain management in the news, and have you do some discussions around that. Finally, we have a major project, which is 20%, and that you have a choice between writing sort of like a term paper on some topic related to supply chain management, or doing an actual practical project where you go into a company, take a look at the supply chain, do an analysis, and then write a report with some recommendations on how you could improve the supply chain. Okay, so that's the core elements of our evaluation right there. The course outline has a fair amount of information, so please take the time to read it. You could say with the group project, the possible topics, and these are just possible topics. You could actually come up with your own. Fishery supply chains, quick service restaurant supply chains, agriculture food supply chains, dairy supply chains. These are types of supply chains that you could actually write a research paper on, or to do the project that I was telling you about in terms of trying to improve or make recommendations to improve supply chain performance in a particular company. Some of the other things that I would just expect you to read, the basic academic policies, you would get that in all of your courses. The disposition on cheating, which I don't expect to see in this classroom. In terms of, we don't have any major final examinations, so we don't have to worry about special exams. In terms of the use of technology, we are not going to use the P drive for storing materials, as I've already mentioned, that all of our materials would actually be in our learning management system, which is Blackboard. All right, and this is where you will find links to the readings, links to the video lectures, and so forth. We will use one Excel sort of add-in, which is called XLOM, and it allows us to do some calculations around inventory management and so forth. But generally, we will use Excel spreadsheets in dealing with some numerical problems and so forth. I've already mentioned video lectures and tutorials. So in a case where I want to demonstrate a problem, how we work it, I will provide a short tutorial on how to solve that particular problem. Now, one of the things I would like to do is to create a learning community. And in Blackboard, this is not, while you could actually have threaded discussions, Blackboard is a little clunky when it comes to facilitating that. So since most students have a Facebook page, what I've done is to create a Facebook group that you will all join. So you click on the link here, join the group, and then we could post questions and have some discussions offline. Some students are a little shy and don't speak in the classroom, but would actually write their comments if a question is actually posed. And so we're going to use this as a place to share information, identify some news articles, post them, get some comments and feedback and so on. So have some discussion taking place in that regard. All right. And so these are the main parts of the course. And so our very first face-to-face meeting will be not tomorrow, Wednesday the 9th, but actually on the following Wednesday, which is the 16th of September. All right. So just to recap very quickly, you need a textbook. We are going to do alternating series of prep weeks and lab weeks. The prep weeks basically to prepare your cases, to work on your articles, your discussion questions, watch the video lectures, and then become prepared to discuss that in the lab class, where we're going to try to put the ideas into practice. Okay, and so it's very important that each person have a copy of the textbook. You will be required to take some short quizzes in Blackboard, and so keep that in mind. Other than that, I think things are fairly straightforward. If you have any questions, you contact me, and I will actually include I will send you this material here via email, so that way you will have a copy of my email address. Thank you very much, and I look forward to meeting you in our lab class on Wednesday the 16th of September. Come prepared to discuss and to apply concepts in our class. Thank you.